Under laws designed to ensure that foreign residents meet their liability for capital gains tax when selling land in Australia, a buyer may be required to pay 10% of the purchase price to the Australian Tax Office. The withholding laws apply to contracts entered into on or after 1 July 2016, where the property sold has a market value of $2 million or more. If the withholding laws apply, the buyer must pay the required amount to the ATO promptly after settlement unless the seller produces a valid clearance certificate issued by the ATO or a notice from the ATO varying the withholding amount to nil. The issuing of a clearance certificate by the ATO to the seller is confirmation that a buyer is not required to pay any part of the purchase price to the ATO at settlement. It is important to note that payment of any required withholding amount is the buyer's responsibility. A failure to remit the withholding amount to the ATO may have serious consequences. In addition to the liability for the withholding amount, a penalty equal to the amount required to be withheld may apply where a buyer fails to comply with the withholding laws. Under the standard contract, if withholding laws apply, the seller irrevocably directs you to pay the required withholding amount to the ATO unless, prior to settlement, the seller produces a clearance certificate or produces a notice from the ATO varying the withholding amount to nil. The standard contract provisions merely reflect the position that applies under the withholding laws. The applicability of the withholding laws depends on the market value of the property. For example, the property sold must have a market value of $2 million or more for the laws to apply. In most cases, market value will be determined by the purchase price payable under the contract. If the transaction involves a purchase price of $2 million or more, but includes personal property such as movable equipment or furniture, with a market value and the market value of the land and improvements may be less than $2 million, it may be appropriate to obtain an independent valuation of the property for the purchase of specifying an apportionment of the price in the contract. Similarly, an independent valuation of the property should be considered if the transaction is between related parties and the property may have a market value of $2 million or more. If the market value of the property sold is $2 million or more, but the purchase price to be paid under the contract is less than the amount to be paid to the ATO, you should consider options for the payment of this amount or amendment of the contract to require payment by the seller of an amount to cover payment.